information. The second law of thermodynamics has established that natural processes only decrease information. And for this reason, genetic mutations can only lose information and cannot produce more complexity. This chart shows the DNA model of the molecule and the nucleotide bases that link across this helical molecule, and the background in red there is called the sugar and phosphate strings. The information is bedded in these bases, which are called nucleotides, and there are 4 of them. You see G, C, A, and T. These 4 molecules are used as symbols to encode for amino acids in a technique that's exactly like the Morse code. And that's shown here. But the Morse code uses 3 symbols, the dot, the dash, and the space, to code each letter of the alphabet. For example, dash dash equals the letter M. The DNA code uses the 4 symbols, GCAT, 3 at a time. And they code for each of 20 letters in God's alphabet. For example, taking 3 at a time, ATT codes for the letter L, which stands for the amino acid lysine. Now, each letter represents this amino acid, and sequences of these letters spell words. Like in the Morse code, man, we might have a string of amino acids spelling out the name of a protein in amino acid symbology. The specifications for the proteins in this long string specify one of 100,000 proteins found in the cell, which is analogous to the 400,000 words in the English language, and they're used to create the organisms just like the words are used to create sentences in our English language. Now, this sophisticated information system is sent to the protein factory in a cell in the form of a message. Like all messages, it must have an intelligent source and a receiver. The creator is the sender, and living organisms are the receiver. The genetic message is complex and abstract. It implements all 5 hierarchical levels of transmission that scientists use to classify message content. In other words, the most complex message known to man. And we see that the biological information is obviously operational information because it is acted upon by the cell and forms proteins. And its origin and nature is creative information having a precise purpose, which is evidence of intelligent design and will in action. This scientific analysis shows that the existence of an intelligent sender is required, but we cannot find him through science. We can only find him in the Bible. Dr. Werner Gitt, who was here in our meeting a couple of years ago from Heidelberg University, is the world's most eminent authority on information, and he says, and I quote, "In light of the information theorems, all materialistic evolution models are useless and thus rejected." So what's the chance that a certain amino acid sequence could happen by chance? If we take an average protein, which has like 400 amino acids, the probability of this happening by chance is 20 raised to the 400 power. Now, to give you an idea of the magnitude of this number, it's like flipping a coin and getting lots and lots of heads. If all of you flipped a coin, we would expect to get about half heads and half tails, right? Well, that number, 20 to the 400, would be like if all of you flipped a head and there were 1,560 people in this audience, all who flipped a head simultaneously. Now, if you try, by the way, that's 50, if you count the ones that are hidden behind our very exhausted flipper here, that's 1,560 heads up there. That would not happen if you all flipped for 1 billion years. Just not possible to happen by chance. Okay. So we see that the chances of accidentally building a specific protein of 400 amino acids is basically 0. But there are more powerful reasons why proteins cannot happen by chance. Every amino acid found in living things has a certain shape called left-handed amino acids. Now these are three-dimensional molecules that you see here, these amino acids. So I'd like you to hold up your 6-shooters like this, both of them, and stick out your trigger finger, all right? All right, stick out your trigger finger. That's this finger here. But you don't have your trigger fingers. There you go. Stick out your trigger. Now you see it's three-dimensional, but they're slightly different. They're mirror images of each other, all right? This is the left-handed amino acid. This is the right-handed amino acid. They have absolutely the same chemical properties, but only left-handed amino acids exist in living things. Isn't that fascinating? Your fist is the carbon, all right? Your index finger is the CH3, which determines which amino acid you have here of those 20. And H2N is called the amino group. That's what makes this an amino acid. The COOH is your trigger finger, and that's the carboxyl group, which makes this an acid, COOH. If a single right-handed amino acid occurs in the sequence assembled by the cell, that cell will die. But in spontaneous reactions, equal amounts of left and right-handed aminos naturally occur. So a protein for a living cell could not possibly happen by chance. Folks, this is the fingerprint of the Creator. You look in a shoe, it says made in Taiwan. You look in a cell, it says made by God. Let's have a hand for the Creator, okay? The evidence cries out, creation. Good, thank you. Okay. Science has concluded at a Congress of the International Society for the Study of the Origin of Life, and I quote, "It has now been determined unequivocally by a large number of scientists that all evolutionary theses that living things developed from polynucleotides which originated spontaneously are devoid of any empirical base." Well, that leaves evolutionists with the question, where did life come from? The Bible has the answer. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living